Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN. Today, we are going to be reacting to a pretty popular video within the Call of Dragon space that some of you may or may not even have heard of or seen come across your timeline. And this is by Aries Guide. This is a smaller channel. However, a video recently made from them titled Call of Dragons, Is It Even Worth Your Time? Has a little over 15,000 views in the past 8 days. Now, looking through this person's channel, I thought, okay, well, maybe they've done a couple COD videos. Doesn't necessarily seem to be the case. However, when you look at these 4 videos, then you look at the homepage video, right? There is something here where you can see, oh, I called, but this was done 10 days ago, but then there's nothing there. So again, maybe it's unlisted, but they just have it there on their homepage. So we're going to go ahead and react. We'll watch the video. We'll see what they have to say. We did one of these similarly to Age of Empires Mobile when another like decently sized YouTuber did a video saying like, is it dying, or it's not even exactly what's being promoted to some extent. And I thought our video did pretty well on React. So let's listen. Let's see what they have to say, and then we'll read some comments at the end. Here we go.
Hey everyone, so I just tried out a game you've probably seen your favorite YouTubers talking about or maybe even sponsored. It's called Call of Dragons. So I decided to check it out. But of course, you shouldn't just trust some random guy on the internet when it comes to games like these. Actually, I think you should trust this random guy because he knows what he's talking about. Now, just to be clear, this is not a sponsored video. I legit went online, downloaded Call of Dragons out of my own curiosity, and maybe because some other random guy on the internet told me to. So no, I'm not getting paid for this, but if you'd like to see more videos like this, subscribe.
Advertised as being not just on mobile but also on PC, I went with the PC version. Now some of you might be wondering, wait, why wasn't it on PC in the first place? And yeah, same. I was slapping my forehead like, oh right, I know exactly what kind of game this is. But hey, I'll give credit where it's due. They didn't try to lie and say it's only mobile. They dragged this shit to PC too. And then I see it, that cursed little line, more coming soon. Like, what? What do you mean more? More what? Pain? Regret? Ads? So, after committing to this decision, I'll definitely regret. The download begins.
Okay, so just to comment initially, in these particular games, and again, this person may not know this, in this genre, which we refer to as kingdom builders, sometimes people will call them 4X, city builders, build and battle, etc. It is very common for these games to not have a PC client version. In most cases, it is just mobile only. Now, you can use an emulator to play on your PC by emulating a tablet or a mobile device. So there are ways to kind of get around that. But if we're talking strictly having a dedicated PC client, this is not common practice where every single kingdom builder or the majority of them in the space will have these, whether it's ready to go at launch, pre-launch, or even post-launch a year or 2 years in. So when you see a kingdom builder, at least in my experience for the ones I've played, which I've been playing them for a while now, ever since Game of War back in 2013, maybe even a little before that, but essentially around that time is when I started getting introduced to games within the genre. I just never saw them really have a dedicated PC client. The first time I ever saw a kingdom builder that I had played was Rise of Kingdoms that had a dedicated PC client. And I think Infinity Kingdom eventually came out with one, and obviously Call of Dragons has one now. So those are my 3 recent-ish games that in the genre have had these particular clients. Let's continue.
After downloading and installing the game, we were graced with a cinematic, and by graced I mean assaulted by, the most generic fantasy exposition imaginable. We're told of a mystical land ruled by a few factions, while we watch 3 figures dramatically swing weapons at each other from a distance. No one really wins except for the human guy. He loses and also loses his stick. Then, boom, fire starts raining from the sky, and this somehow awakens a mysterious force faction called the Darklings. Wait, darkness, dragon, cold vibes, fire? Hey, this isn't the Night King, right? Wow, truly inspired. I swear, every creatively bankrupt game just defaults to something involving darkness as their big bad, like it's the default setting in their story generator. Anyway, the three factions stop fighting each other and decide to focus on the new enemy. Someone gives the human his stick back, thank God, and the trio charges off to fight the evil underground mole people or whatever. Then it's time for me to choose a faction, and here we go. Oh wow, okay.
So I guess what I'll say there is, it to me it feels like maybe he's inflating it a bit and kind of adding some over dramatization. Where if you ask me my opinion on the opening cinematic, I'm not rating this as though it's some kind of a Spielberg movie or, you know, something that I have the utmost highest level of expectations to just be a 10 out of 10 or to be some unique introduction into the space. I look at it as a complementary piece before I get started that if I want to watch, I can. And if I don't want to watch, I'll skip. Now, obviously, I believe when you're doing it the very first time, you do have to watch it, but afterwards you do have the opportunity to skip it. So I don't know. It just felt like maybe he was going in a little extra hard unnecessarily when, to be fair, if you're going to play the game, you're not necessarily going to be grading the majority of it, or I would argue maybe even any of it based on the cinematics. Sure, will some people enjoy a nice quality cinematic? Of course. It's not to say that no one will, but you're mostly going to be looking at the gameplay, maybe even talking about some storyline. But gameplay is going to be your center focus. So I don't know. It just felt maybe a little unnecessary to me.
These character designs are something. The mage dude looks like he's holding in the biggest gut I've ever seen. Like bros fighting for his life just to keep it sucked in. The elf, no muscle, no definition, just a literal walking stick. And the tanky guy, he's built like a meat patty, not even abs, just mystery meat. Look, I know games do their own art styles, but this is just disrespectful anatomy. Anyway, once you pick one of these disproportionate champions, you're dropped into the world at a random location. And I'll be honest, this part is actually kind of cool. You get placed in a shared world with other players, no loading screens, no waiting, unless you're.
So I think I'm starting to get a little bit more of an idea here now. Again, when I look at, keep in mind, I've played a number of kingdom builders, and not even that, but I think just anyone who has played a number of different games in their life will notice that not every single game is going to have the same art style. They're not going to have the same outlook. They're not going to have the same approach with how they're designing characters, graphics, etc. Even anything from landscape to map design to terrain to color tones. These things will be different. When I look at the characters, do I think they're god awful and should have never been created? No, not at all. Do I think that they are the absolute best creme de la creme, cream of the crop character design? Not necessarily. Not really. But do I think that they're good enough, or at least I would argue good in general or above average? Absolutely, I do. So again, it feels kind of unnecessary to say, to like go in on that. Now, if you want to say something as far as comparing maybe different games within the genre and then talking about maybe some of the pros and cons, okay, I think that's fine. But it just kind of feels like this blanket kind of negative tone that we're starting to see now. I don't know. It just, and then he makes the comment of in a shared kingdom or shared space with other players, it's now kind of making me seem or making me feel, getting an initial impression that maybe this individual does not play games within this genre. So we're going to get a skewed viewpoint, or at least a limited viewpoint on what they can really speak to the effect on. So let's see.
In a special instance, it's just one big seamless map. Alright, so we start up the actual game and oh, we're right back to those character designs. Big lips, wide eyes, honestly, not half bad. She is your in-game helper, guiding you through the tutorial and By guiding, I mean dragging you through the same 5-step process every one of these games has: building, upgrading, training, summoning, equipping, collecting and equipping, and collecting. Lots of collecting. Like, seriously, do you want to be collecting more than a Pokemon horde there on Adderall? Resources, heroes, gear, fragments of things you didn't ask for, just a whole lot of stuff. And as you might have guessed, this is a free-to-play mobile to PC game. Now, to be fair, there aren't any ads in this game, I'll give them that. Instead of bombarding you with ads, they hit you with the oldest trick in the freemium playbook. The old $0.99 starter pack. Just a tiny offer to get you in the door, right? Just a little taste. Then suddenly, you're sliding down the monetization slope like it's a water slide straight into hell, guided gently by the devil himself. 1 minute it's just $1, and the next, seriously debating whether a pack of digital wood and crystals is worth $19.99. Spoiler, it's not. And honestly, the flood of rewards you get just for existing in this game completely kills any sense of actual achievement. You get rewards for everything: logging in, checking your base, moving 2 feet, sneezing, blinking too hard. Like, damn, I didn't even do anything yet.
Hey, spendy kitty, dropping cash like you run the game, but you still itty bitty, no creeps to shame. Although I'm for real, let bling, but no bite to claim. You flashy, but you glitch, you still losing every frame.
Wait, hold up. Isn't this the game I just saw in a YouTube?
So, without beating a dead horse too much, I think it's pretty obvious at this point that this person does not play games in the genre. So, a few notes. First, again, I'm not going to necessarily harp on the character design portion of what he already said, because we already mentioned that. But the part about what you're gonna, your achievements and your progression, again, unless you are going to set a baseline and compare other games to Call of Dragons on how their progression is versus others, you don't really have a reference point to stand on. Meaning, if you're just going to blanketly state, which is a guess, not a fact, that, oh, well, I just get resources for everything. Where's the point? Where's the fun in the progression where it feels meaningful? He's showing a very skewed and kind of limited view based on the video that's being provided. Like, there's not necessarily enough context, because I would say that is completely wrong. To say that you are getting all of these resources in the beginning where it doesn't feel like there's any value in progressing or enjoyment or fun in leveling because you're getting so much diversified resource in the beginning, the fact is you're not getting a lot of diversified. It may feel that way, but every day you play, every event you participate in, it's almost like collecting a bunch of coins when you're a kid. And eventually, you do that every day. Maybe you'll get some dollars here and there. And then, when you turn 16 or like 10 years later, you got a piggy bank full of stuff, and then you take it in and you're like, wow, this is a lot more money than I thought I might have actually had. Maybe some people felt that way. And that's kind of a closer comparison of what you're really talking about. Now, that's not to say that it's going to take you 10 years to get to the end game, but just explaining that every little bit that you do every day adds a level of progression value and fulfillment to your account. The second part he talks about, which is the whole freemium model, this is all very standard, right? So to me, this isn't anything that it's like, oh, how dare they? No, because this is the way that it's been for a long time. That's not to say that it's right or it's wrong. It's not to say that I agree with it or disagree with it. We're just stating the facts here, which is that if you've played many kingdom builders in the space, yes, they are typically free to play. I don't know if I've ever seen a kingdom builder that is not free to play. However, will there be certain things that can be locked behind a paywall? Yes, there can be. Does that mean that everything is always going to be locked behind a paywall? Not necessarily. But as far as offering ways to pay for things like he was saying resources, where it's like you can buy wood and gold. Who wants to do that? I feel like that's kind of this. It very much comes across very negative with the way that he's portraying it, because it's almost as though he's saying that anyone who spends money on games like these is just pointless to do, and how dare you? Why would you do that? Again, if people want to spend money on games, they have the budget to do so, or they choose of their own volition. Again, I don't have a problem with that. What I do necessarily feel is that when you are trying to cast, again, some kind of cape, no, not cape, but veil, if you will, or shade on the people that do, to say that, oh, what's the point? It's pointless. There's no value in doing that. You're just going to spend money on wood, gold, or etc. Right? Some digital resource that isn't tangible, that doesn't really add anything to you. I feel like now we're kind of stepping a little bit over bounds at that point, because if they want to spend that, there's nothing wrong with them spending it. This is what the model is. And again, if this person did some research, they would know that if you looked into other games within the genre, that this is pretty standard and very common practice. And no one's forcing you to pay for anything. It's really up to you if you decide to do it or not.
YouTube ad? You know, the one with Diablo-style visuals, dark gothic themes, and music that sounds like Blizzard dropped a trailer? Yeah, that one. Well, surprise, that game doesn't exist, because what you actually get when you download Call of Dragons is nothing like what they advertised. The visuals? Completely different. It's misleading as hell, but clearly it works. People see the ad, they click, they download, and boom, they're hit with 10 billion fake rewards before they even know what's happening. And we all know the play here. Overwhelm the player with constant dopamine hits for every tiny action, so they feel hooked and keep playing. But the downside? You're not really playing the game. It's supposed to be an RTS, a strategy game.
I'm not a fan of free-to-play games in general, which honestly makes me question why I'm even here. Oh, right.
So let me just comment on that person, because I think he's playing a video from what someone else talked about. Technically, that is not true. This game, and there's 2 points here. First is that it is not true that this is an RTS in its traditional sense. Again, I sometimes think people loosely will use the word RTS and just throw it out there, but not every RTS is going to be what we would typically know as a traditional RTS. And that's something that's a little bit more along the lines of a game like Age of Empires, Command and Conquer, StarCraft, Warcraft, etc. These games are more traditional RTS, where you are you have a lot of APM, right? Actions per minute. You're microing troops. You're usually base building. Everything is in real time. So even though there are some RTS elements in Kingdom Builders, and yes, it is real time, it's not real time in a constant battlefield like a traditional RTS is. And as far as, if you're kind of, without going too deep down the rabbit hole here, in Kingdom Builders you will have modes like a KVK or an SVS, sometimes maybe even a GVG. And this is essentially where you take a kingdom or a server and you put them on another map with other kingdoms and servers, or in some games maybe you can invade each other's kingdoms or servers, and then you're fighting it out. Yes, there can be battles and wars that happen within your home kingdom, home server, or aka your starting kingdom or starting server. But in most cases, I would argue that as far as the main wars, main fights, you're usually going to be seeing those in those kinds of KVKs, SVS variants. So, in the other side of it, if they're watching an ad for like that MOBA ad or the one we see right now, or maybe something else, and they think, okay, well, this is an RTS game, and then they come and play it and they figure out, okay, well, this isn't what I thought it was. I wholeheartedly agree there. No disagreement, because if you're watching an ad and the game is being promoted as a real-time strategy game, it's a yes and no, because yes, it is, but it's not in the traditional sense, and it's not based on an ad you're watching if the ad is not accurate to what the current play style is. So on that second part, I will wholeheartedly agree that I do think, and I think many of us in the community actually feel this way. And again, if this person took some time to maybe look into that, or even just go on the Discord and see what people are saying about the ads, they do that are misleading. And people will actively make fun of the ads. There's memes about ads on the memes channel in the official Discord because it just sucks to see.
Content. That said, if Fairlight wants to throw me an actual sponsorship, sure, I'll play it longer. I'll be a little less pessimistic, maybe tone down the sarcasm. Actually, no, scratch that. You'll still get the sarcasm.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
But don't expect to catch me dead buying any of the nonsense that pops up every time I summon an epic.
Yo, real quick, is it just me, or is this guy? So so now that I'm thinking about this a little bit more, is this just all like Chizgul related stuff? Because I know Chiz used to have something like this, and then also it looks like these brief thumbnails are Chizgul similar. Am I off on this one, or is somebody else picking up what I'm putting down?
Or legendary. Like, yeah, cool, I got lucky, but I'm not giving you more money because you made numbers flash on the screen. But moving past all that, here I am, stranded in the burning lands. Nothing but desert and mountains as far as the mist lets me see. And like all fog of war games, you've got a slow...
Okay, so just for some context here, right, because I do think it's important. So this person is in 637, right? Again, most of you know I have a character in every single kingdom. So I can look this up for you, right? So let's, again, and just so I can show that off first so you know, right? So if I go to characters, you can see I have a character, every single kingdom. So I can go to my account, right? But let me just show you. 649 are the kingdoms that are out now. Video came out, what was it, 7-8 days ago that it said? So that's, what, 12 kingdoms ago, right? So this is 637 on my scout, and that kingdom has been open. If we go here, again, just to add a little bit of context, that kingdom's been open for 14 days, right? So about 2 weeks, almost 15 days at this time. Okay, let's continue.
slowly uncover the map by exploring, scouting, and basically being nosy. But the real question is, what the hell am I actually doing here? So far, your main objective is to defeat the Darklings, because of course it is, and the only way to do that is by upgrading your stronghold, leveling up buildings, training troops, fighting behemoths, and forming alliances. Yes, this game has PvP, and it's all about alliance wars. Either your alliance goes up against another, or you form an alliance of alliances to gang up on someone else. It's like Game of Thrones if everyone was more into microtransactions than actual war. Joining an alliance isn't optional, by the way, it's basically required. If the tutorial doesn't push you into one, the side quests will. And to be fair, there are perks, more rewards, a place to retreat to when the map turns into chaos, and the infamous helping system where alliance members reduce your building timers. Except that system is kinda scam. One time I had 60 people help me, and it shaved off like 12 minutes. I'm not even sure it's a full minute per help. Feels more like emotional support at this point. Building structures is exactly like Clash of Clans.
So two things here. First off, when he talks about the KVKs, which again doesn't refer to it as a KVK, that's what he was watching. We talked about this earlier, right? Where you can have kingdoms or servers that are going from a home kingdom, which is essentially your starting kingdom. So in this person's case, he's in 637. We will say 637 is his home kingdom / starting kingdom. What he watched, which you saw in the top left corner, would have said like SOT1 or something to that effect, and then, or some 4-digit, 4K alphanumeric, and then a number. That indicates a SVS or a KVK. And again, for those that might be new here, I will show that off as well, just for some context. So these are your starting kingdoms, right? As an example, if I zoom out, well, I'm going to do the same thing here. Let's say I go season 3, and you can see, let me see if I can find one that says, if I find one that says SOT, yeah, or sorry, SOS. So he might have been somewhere maybe around here, but if I click on this, you'll see, look at all the kingdoms that are here. So these are all the home kingdoms or starting kingdoms that got matched or paired together, and they get put onto a new map. That map is a little bit more PvP and kind of war friendly. It's designed essentially to where you can go up against other kingdoms. You have fighting areas, not only with open zones like you see here, but also in these small circles. These are where you kind of fight in these mini games or like mini fighting areas in between zones where maybe you can't invade right away, maybe you can do it later, but just wanted to explain that portion so there's a little bit of context there. The second part that he talks about on the helps. The fact is that keep in mind, he's also very low level. You can tell that based on the structure, the cosmetics of his buildings. And the fact is that if he started in 637, he's probably not that high of a city level. And because of that, you saw the amount of helps he got, which I believe is 10. And so if we were to look at an example here, if I pull over my semi main, right? But let's say I go to my Alliance Center. This is where you get your helps from. If he has 10 help chances, that means he's at level 6. So he basically just started. Keep in mind, you can hit level 6 probably within an hour or within maybe 2 hours of playing. I would say you can actually hit it faster if you probably just gem and you speed through. But for easy conservative purposes, this is something you can effortlessly hit within the first few hours of just playing the game, and very easily within the first day. So because of this is not something that, again, I just feel like the way it's being portrayed makes it seem like, oh, well, this is, why am I not getting more helps for the amount of time? The fact is that you're also getting time reduced, which is a proportion of the overall time that it takes to research or build something. So the amount of helps and time off you'll get will gradually increase as you also gain level.
So pick a spot, wait, come back later to upgrade it, wait again, rinse and repeat until you either quit or give in and buy speed ups. And of course, yes, there's gacha, free chests, premium chests, time gated chests, you name it, it's here. You do get keys if you want to just open chests, and books if you don't want to wait for the timer to reset, and these keys open up chests to get resources, while also opening books to get artifacts, equipable items that you use during combat with heroes. And you summon heroes from chest too, ranging from elite to epic to legendary. And every time you get an epic or legendary, you always get a pop-up that says, hey, you want more?
Is this Meower's video? I didn't know Meower was in here.
Heroes are basically your army leaders. You group up a bunch of soldiers under them, and that unit's health is based on the number of troops they command. Heroes also come with different abilities and talents that can shift the tide of battle. Their skills trigger once their energy gauge fills up. Boom. Animation. Boom. Damage. Pretty simple. They are also used in raids, helping out with behemoth fights and gathering resources. Basically, if there's something to be done, your heroes are doing it. At the beginning, you're stuck with just 2 active units. Scouts, you can send out a bunch of those. But fighting units, nope, limited. It's like they want you to feel the pressure, so you'll start burning through the speed boosters they keep throwing at you. Speed boosters let you skip wait times, whether it's 2 hours for training a soldier or 4 hours to upgrade a building. Or, just use this handy dandy insta finish button for a price, of course. And once you're in an alliance, the grind becomes routine. Upgrade stuff, scout stuff, fight stuff, repeat.
And when you're not doing anything, like when you're just standing around minding your business, sometimes the heroes decide it's time to chat. When you first unlock a hero, they give you a little gift, which is cute, I guess. But after that, they'll just randomly strike up conversations with you like your old friends. And much like every other free-to-play live service game, leveling things up here is a whole ecosystem. You don't just level your heroes with EXP books. Oh no, that would be too simple. You also need nectar to increase their trust. Yes, we're bonding now. Dust to upgrade artifacts. Duplicate artifacts to further enhance the artifacts. And crystals of the hero themselves so you can level them up again, even after you've already used EXP books. It's like a leveling Russian nesting doll. Every time you think you've upgraded something, surprise, there's another system under it. Honestly, it's exhausting. You don't just level a character, You gotta raise their stats, grow your relationship, level their gear, awaken them, kiss their forehead, good night. And of course, like every free-to-play strategy game, the deeper you go, the more painful it gets. Every time you level up a building or start a research upgrade, the resource requirements go up. And I'm not talking small increases. I'm talking exponential good luck playing this game without selling your soul kind of increases. Eventually, you hit level 24, and surprise! Now you can't even upgrade unless you have master blueprints, which of course don't just fall from the sky. You'll need to buy them. And if that wasn't enough, buildings are chained to each other. Like, I wanted to upgrade my Hall of Order. First, I had to upgrade my wall and my bazaar to the same level. Why? Who knows? All I know is, every upgrade costs more, takes longer, and locks you behind 2 or 3 other buildings that also cost a ridiculous amount of resources and time. And it doesn't stop at buildings. Oh no. Let's talk about research. You want to upgrade your troops, right? They come in levels: green, blue, purple, and finally gold. Seems simple until you try to actually unlock them. Every level requires a ridiculous amount of resources. And by resources, I mean everything short of your blood type. But here's where it gets fun. To upgrade your troops, you need to level up the research. To upgrade the research, you need to level up the research building. But you can't upgrade the research building, not until you upgrade another random building first. It's like a bureaucratic nightmare. You go to upgrade one thing, and the game's like, oh, sorry. Have you spoken to the manager of the bakery 3 towns over and sacrificed 500,000 wood yet? Everything is locked behind something else, and all of it costs more than the last thing you did. Oh, you thought that was painful? Nah, we're just getting started. Let's talk about heroes.
Okay, so what I'll say here, and I was waiting for a potential point to see where he was going to go with it, but again, it seems like it's the same. Oh, it's just too grindy. It takes too long. I have to spend too many resources. I can't just access the end game immediately upon playing, which to me seems like probably something he might favor a little bit more, which is, hey, why can't it just take a week, or why can't it just take a month for me to get everything unlocked? Or based on his tone and the way that he's saying this, why aren't things unlocked immediately day 1 or day 2 as I'm playing, so I can just have access to everything at the end game? I think other comparisons for other titles, I would say, is that there's a lot of other grindy stuff. Think of things like Grand Theft Auto, Baldur's Gate, Skyrim, any story-based game or campaign-based game where you have to go and grind for things. This is not uncommon. It's not like all of a sudden Call of Dragons is some unique dark unicorn in the space that is doing things that no other game in either comparable or other genres that have similar grindy mechanics is doing. And I just feel like the way that it's being portrayed, it is not fair to, one, for the individual having a little bit of knowledge, even just an entry level of knowledge and experience on other games in the genre, but also comparing other games in different genres that do have grindy mechanics. This is just an example and one type of genre that has a type of grindy system in it and what you have to do to get there. Because I'll tell you, for me, as someone who plays these games often, I like that aspect. I like the fact that every small thing I do adds value to the bigger thing. Everything I do every day gets me that much closer to the next unlock, to the next unlock, to the next unlock, until eventually you hit in-game. Geez, look at World of Warcraft players, right? Especially if they have to make new accounts, or people that play on hardcore mode, etc., where you have to regrind through things to get back to your max level based on the character you're playing. To me, these are just all similar things. It's not something that is to be in this particular video. It all feels very dramatized.
And specifically, upgrading them. If you want to get your hero to a competitive level, be ready to drop at least $600. Yeah, $600. That's the minimum if you want to push them beyond mid-tier status. But it gets better, because this game runs on
So the only thing I would say here is maybe that number is accurate, maybe it's not. But the problem is that where are you getting that number from? And that's the challenge. To see, when you're doing videos like this, if you're not showing where that number is coming from, because you could figure this out based on again, whether it's purchasing, maybe you have to hit a certain VIP level, maybe you're doing wheel spins, etc. You could figure that out. You could also quote just another example, you could reach out to some other top players and quote them and ask them, hey, how much have you spent on this particular hero or commander or that one? And then from there, you could say, oh, well, this is like putting out blanket numbers when you're not sourcing where they're coming from or referring to how you arrived at such a number. Even if the number is accurate, it's about professional courtesy and due diligence. And that just unfortunately wasn't done here. I would have liked for it to be done.
Generations of heroes. You start with Gen 1, then they drop Gen 2, then Gen 3, and on and on. Each new batch completely power creeps the old one, so your Generation 1 hero? Straight up trash now, like you may as well delete them trash. And suddenly, unless you shell out for the new hot heroes, you're no longer a player. You're just a digital peasant serving the whales. But wait, we're still not done.
Okay, so on the last comment, I don't necessarily disagree. which is not to say that I necessarily think that it's a god-awful dynamic by any means. But what he's saying is a smaller part of a bigger picture, and it's not really giving full context. To say that if you're, I mean, he's basically saying, well, which is to me kind of just stating the obvious, which is that if you're free to play and you're going up against people that do spend money, if they're a mid-high spender, maybe even arguably a low spender, that you're just not going to progress as fast as them. I mean, that's just basic common sense at that point. And that's really what I imagine he's getting at. And obviously this could be exacerbated if you're starting out in a home kingdom or in a new kingdom, like i.e. he starts out in 637. Maybe there's players, usually in every kingdom, you're always going to have spenders. It just depends on how many low to high spenders you may have in any given kingdom. And so because of that, you'll get people that will be able to progress faster. They'll unlock higher tier troops. They'll have a stronger account. They'll have maybe more legendary heroes. They'll have stronger marches, stronger artifacts, etc., right? Because they can invest their money into leveling and progressing. However, eventually, once you get to endgame, and I can tell you this because I have a group in this game of the top free-to-play players that play the game at the moment. And I speak to a lot of players in the community, especially those that are free to play and low spend, and obviously mid and high spend. And a lot, and I don't know if I'd say a lot, but I would say a decent amount of free to play and low spend players are able to compete. I'm not going to say keep up with or surpass, but can compete for periods of time with mid to high spenders or players that have end game accounts. And a lot of it comes down to how you prioritize and what you focus and what you invest in. It doesn't always mean that you're going to be able to have up to 5 marches, everything's going to be maxed, but maybe you can do that for 1 or 2 marches as an example, because you have to kind of hone in your investment depending on what your capabilities are as an individual. Are you playing free to play? Are you low, mid, or high spend? These things matter and also play into what your path is that you will take. I just wanted to add a little bit of context there. It's not really necessarily wrong, but there's just a lot more to it than that, and I just don't think that it's that black and white.
Oh yeah, there's something called honorary membership, basically the game's VIP system. And just when you think the honorary membership couldn't get more pay to win, yeah, some heroes are only available through it. You want a hero like Lilia? Gotta reach a certain VIP level and buy the honor exclusive chests. You don't get there by playing, you get there by spending. Want to hit level 8 and unlock the goods.
So just to be clear here, what he said is technically inaccurate. You unlock Lilia by spending at least $1 on the game. You have to spend money. Him saying that you unlock it by getting up in VIP level is just not right. Now, you can unlock more chests that you can purchase different heroes in at different VIP tiers that you do have to spend money on to purchase those. As you could see right below the Nico, there's like a little thing right here, and that does cost money. but you unlock Lilia specifically just by spending $1. Similarly to, I think, Minamoto and Rise of Kingdoms and other games that employ this as well, where you spend $1 and then you get to unlock whatever the legendary hero is. I think it just kind of gives you the amount, so it's like 10 shards, etc., or however however much it may be in that particular game to get the actual just hero unlock.
stuff, that's 35,000 honor points, aka 35,000 gems. Unless you're grinding 24/7 and living inside this game, you're looking at dropping around $50 or more.
I'm also wondering if this person is playing on someone else's account, or if maybe they've been playing the game a while and then they just made a new account at 637 to do this video, and then if they've spent or not. Because based on how this person started this video off, which is, oh, I just decided to download the game, that means that if the account we're seeing right now that he can click on, this means that he's logged in. It most likely means, let me say that, it most likely means that he's logged in on someone else's account, which again, is there's not anything wrong, but obviously someone shared an account with this individual where it may not be theirs based on what he initially stated. That is against TOS, but again, we can get into like a whole thing on, again, how people feel about that. I just think that's interesting that wasn't stated in the beginning, but why would it be, right, from the individual who's making this video? Okay, just a small note. Let's continue.
And that's just for one level that unlocks a second research slot and access to hero chests. Imagine how much it takes to get the top tier heroes.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
So asking a non-question, why do you think so many YouTubers are promoting this game? It's the money. It's the money. Let's be real. No YouTuber is out here grinding Call of Dragons on their own time. If they're playing it, they're getting paid. It's not that the game is unplayable, it's just you can feel that it's more product than passion. And hey, if that's your...
So what I'll say there is, keep in mind, what he's referring to is basically a standard YouTube ecosystem where you're going to have people, and there's companies out there, and I can tell you there's companies that have reached out to me and other of my content friends, and this is something that is very standard, is you'll have companies that reach out to you and they'll say, hey, we'd love to see if you can help promote our game so they can try and get more awareness out about it. That's really all it is. And whether or not the people that are subscribed to you or that watch a particular video, even if it's not something that you play all the time or on a regular basis, maybe it might attract them. Maybe they might be interested in it. So that's really all it is at its very foundational, fundamental level. But to say that there's no YouTubers that are promoting the game that actively play it, I'll tell you right now, and I'll give a huge shout out to Chizgul on this, because Chiz is someone who, even though he promotes the game and he is obviously paid from the game and he does, paid promotions, Chiz was playing the game pretty early on, amongst other creators too as well, even before they did anything. Omni was playing a little bit, Shinshi was playing a little bit, and they were playing on their own time. Chiz still plays and he still produces content, some paid, some not, at least from some of the things I've seen. So again, that's not accurate at all. It would have been nice for him to give some context, but it just feels like there's these loose accusations without any due diligence or research being done. And I just feel like it's lowering the quality and the integrity of the video for how this person is coming across, where I do think they could have made a video just like this, but just focused on more quality points compared to what it feels like kind of throwing paint on a wall and seeing what sticks.
your thing, more power to you. Get a bunch of YouTubers and streamers to promote the game with what I can only assume is a fat paycheck. The influencers talk about it.
And I'll be honest, I'd love a
throw in
fat
few
paycheck.
lines from the script, and then they wait, see who bites. Now, I can't give you the exact number of downloads, but let's be honest.
I mean, you
it's
could
probably
you
well
could
past
get
a million
close.
by now. And if you really want to...
Oh god. So let me give an example, right? He could give the numbers, and I'll give the numbers to you right now because it's not anything super bad, right? We can go to mobile game, and then we'll actually also go to, and I think we did something like this as well, but I'll show you this for the Android stuff, and you can look at it. We'll show you this on the Play Store as well. So there's two things we'll look at. Play Store here has 5 mil plus downloads, okay? Call of Dragons on AppBrain, which is a site where you can look at statistics for mobile games, shows that, oh, am I on Call of Dragons? Whoa, why am I on Call of Dragons for something that is Stardust Works? That's not the right one. Here we go, Farlight. So when we look at this one, you could see, right, they're 5 mil downloads, right? Total downloads, 9.9. So that's where they're at right now. At the moment. So again, you can see the numbers. It just feels like now, again, when you see stuff like that, it kind of makes you think, well, you know, why wasn't there any due diligence being done? Like, this isn't difficult to just Google some of these things and look them up. So yeah, based on the 1 mil, he said, yeah, I mean, the game has about 10 times that amount at the moment.
See how deep the marketing rabbit hole goes? Just try searching for something like Diablo on YouTube. What do you see? Boom. Call of Dragons in the ad slot. They're using popular game keywords to bait clicks. And it doesn't stop there. Some of the ads are straight up fake. I've seen promo videos with Diablo-style visuals, dark gothic vibes, and even themes that look ripped right out of Blizzard's playbook. And guess what? That has absolutely nothing to do with what the actual game looks like or plays like. It's misleading as hell, but clearly it works, because people click, download, and get hit with the sweet dopamine of 10 billion fake rewards before they even figure out...
Yo, now it's 10 billion fake rewards? I thought it was just a lot of diversified rewards.
This game isn't really about strategy. It's about time, and how much of it you're willing to waste or pay to skip. It gives you just enough shiny rewards and dopamine hits to keep you clicking, but not enough depth to actually feel rewarding. Listen, if by some chance you find Call of Dragons, which by the way, has a surprising lack of dragons to be a fun game to play, then, hey, more power to you. Just don't buy anything. The early game is fun and those lips and those eyes. In my opinion, this is not a game worth even $10. And while it says it's an RTS, you're not really playing strategy, you're just managing time.
I'm actually curious, does it specifically say RTS on it? Because I thought it said 4X and some other stuff. Let's see. Where's the thing where it says the... Oh, yeah, hang on, I gotta go down more. Here, I think. Yeah, let's go about the game. So... What... Because I thought it was strategy. What category is it under? Oh, let's look here. What category is it under? What do I have? Pet description, show more. No, it just shows there. It should be under strategy, but typically when you click on this, it should... I bet you I'm just missing it. It's probably right in front of my face, and I'm just as blind as a bat. Yeah, no, it doesn't say... Let me see what it says on my phone real quick, because it should say... Oops, hang on. Let's go to Play Store and type in Call of Dragons. So if I do Call of Dragons, it says... And okay, yeah. So it says strategy, 4X, medieval fantasy, single player, multiplayer, stylized. And here, I'll show you that. I don't know if you can see that. Hang on, let me go right here. I know there's a glare, but you can see that's what it is, right? App support, Call of Dragons. So again, those are the keywords that are on the Google Play Store right now. So again, just maybe he's seeing it somewhere else. I just wanted to at least show that for some context.
Also, I have a friend who shared his purchase history with me after he left the game. And let's just say...
So now things are getting a little clearer. So this could be that person's account that we saw him playing on, right? It could be this, his friend.
It was not pretty. If you've ever seen those just 99 cents offers, you already know how it goes. Once is easy, twice becomes a habit, and suddenly you're staring at a transaction history wondering how you dropped $60 on digital wood and purple dust. My suggestion? Skip this one. There are so many better games out there that are actually worth your time, and maybe even your money. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment roasting your least favorite mobile game. Have a nice day.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. So, oh gosh, there's quite a bit. I guess where I'll end with is that so we've done. So let me say about the ads. We've already talked about the ads, right? And we've stated that yeah, the ads are no bueno, right? We are not fans of the ads. We've already said that. We already talked about the influencer stuff. Again, I've already talked about the spending, right? You spend at your own discretion. This is obvious in anything. However, it's funny that he says that, and I'm trying to find my sheet real quick because again, I do a lot of statistics and community surveys on the game, and I have this spending thing. I'm trying to find it if I can, but I did this video where we showed off how much top players have spent on the game. And it's on my channel. Maybe I'll include a link to it in the end card for this or in the description for those of you that are curious. But I'm shocked he didn't do a little bit of research just to see how much people, how much like some of the top players. Because we did a video where we asked, where I went out and I asked myself the top 200 players in the game based on historical power and how much they have spent total and what their monthly spend is on average. And again, some of these guys spend thousands of dollars, mid to high thousands, right, closer to tens. Some people have spent over $100,000, a couple $100,000 in the game. Somebody we interviewed before, Nefisto, right? He'd spent like over $1 million. There's other people, even in Rock, that have spent, a decent amount of money too as well, and in other games. I mean, geez, don't even, let any of my State of Survival homies come and tell you how pay to win they felt that game was. But it just to state that it's all about how much. You have to understand it's all relative. If you have people that are mid to high spenders, they probably make a lot more money than you do, and on average, I'll say. And because of that, their budget or their spending budget is probably bigger than some people. It makes sense. If I'm making $1 million a year, and I want to spend money on games, I probably have more of a budget to do so than if I'm making $50,000 a year. Now, whether or not you personally agree with spending that amount of money on a game or not, that is for each individual to decide. But it is also not something that you should ever put on someone else and like force your opinion on them or your worldview on saying, oh, well, how dare you spend money on this game and be so much stronger than me, etc. Whatever rabbit hole you feel like going down. If they want to spend money on the game, let them spend it. It's okay. Like it doesn't affect me. It doesn't hurt me in any way. I'm not emotionally damaged or crippled. I don't think one way about it or another. I just understand that it is what it is, and that some people will have different spending caps than others, and that's fine. Again, it's not to say that you can't have your own opinion, but just don't go and shove it and throw it down people's throats where it's just unneeded and unwanted. It doesn't mean that you can't talk about those things. I'm just not a fan of people that are like forcing their view on others in that sense, right? If they want to spend, let them spend. But as long as you know what you're walking into, right? I think as long as you're educated, you're informed, and you understand the game that you're playing, that I think is more of the important part. So that way people have a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more information in an educated way that's available to them. Let me know what you guys think about this one. However, I do want to read some comments real quick because I just want to see what some people are saying here. Because again, I just found this video. To be frank, I thought it was pretty hilarious. There was, I think, 2 points we mentioned that I did agree with and I thought were pretty accurate. But for the most part, I mean, it just feels like this is just kind of I'm just, what's the right word here? I don't want to say like a sham job, but it feels like it's a smear campaign essentially, right? And just didn't really come in with enough knowledge and I think enough education on the genre and the game itself. And it just really felt like the video came off as like, I'm just going to throw a bunch of stuff on the wall and see what sticks, as we mentioned before. So even as a fan of the game, I got to respect this review. Oh my God. Someone said hilarious and accurate. Oh, geez. Good game perspective, it really depends. Like if you play Mobile Legends, you can't AFK, but if you play, Mobile Legends, I believe is a different game because that game is a MOBA, from my understanding. So very similar to something like League of Legends, Dota, etc. And I imagine he's talking about like Mobile Legends Bang Bang or MLBB. But if you play this kind of game, games, there's no rush. You can always take your time. Accurate. The true depth of the game is making friends and winning wars together. I'd say that's accurate. Been playing the game for almost 2 years now and spent nothing but only time. This content is only about PvE experience and not PvP. Okay, touche. I'll give a thumbs up to that. Almost got tricked by one of those ads. Thanks for the honesty. This game is really good. Yes, it is pay to win, but not everyone in the game pays to win, so game evens out. Also, they're pay to win player in all alliances. If you're like me, yes, you'll never be king, but you get free updates to game every season. And for the real time movement of troops, beat any other RTS out there. The game is really good. Don't listen to this review. Try the game. And fun. You don't have to spend a single penny. I wonder what he said. I'm curious what his reply was. Let me see. Fair point. And honestly, respect for sticking with it free to play for that long. You're absolutely right. For some people, it's more about the social side, alliances, teamwork, the long term. This would focus mostly on the early experience and PvE system because that's where a lot of people get funneled and trapped early on. But yeah, if you build a crew and you're having, okay. I mean, it seems like his reply is more well-rounded-ish than the review. Totally fair perspective. And honestly, if you're having fun, matters. I'll give credit where it's due. The real-time troop movement is clean, and yeah, being an assault alliance can make all the difference. The review leans heavily on the early game plus monetization traps, but I respect players like you who found fun without dropping cash. Almost got tricked by one of those ads. And again, like we said with the ad, man, if the ad is promoting an entirely different game, then yeah, you may not like what you come and play. That's understandable. That's on them for promoting ads and putting ads out in that way. But I'll tell you right now, as I've already stated before, I don't support that, and many in the community don't support that and will actively make fun of it on the official Discord. But again, it's not like we're the decision makers. So I played the game, launched, and loved it. Okay, thank you for exposing this, which is about almost... oh, here we go. I must be doing something wrong, or more likely I'm just an addict trying to justify my time, money, but I'm a content creator for this game, and I haven't gotten a dime. Please point me to where this magical fountain of developer cash is I partaken. Uninstall mid-video, you nailed it. This game is fun. I've had a lot of games with friends. Okay. Setup, I totally agree with the negative aspects of the game. However, there's strategy involved in the game. Honestly, it was more entertaining. This was the most entertaining review in the CallofDragons. I thought I was only one-sided, just 99 cents. Okay. Legit. Still thanks. I agree with the ads are super misleading. Yeah, the game's not an issue, but honestly, I still play and spend time. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, so it seems like a lot of the similar stuff. All right, fam. That's going to do it for us. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And if you'd like for me to see me review other CallofDragons related videos, let me know in the comments down below as well, or you can always slide into my DMs. Thanks. That's it for me. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later.